Good morning, students. Today, let us see Unit 3 Problem Solving using C++. And the topic that we are going to discuss is constructor. A constructor is a special member function of a class. Constructor is called by the compiler whenever the object of the class is created. It allocates a memory to the object and initializes class data members by default values or values passed by the user while creating an object. A constructor is a special member function of a class. Constructor is called by the compiler whenever the object of the class is created. It allocates a memory to the object and initializes class data members by default values or values passed by the user while creating an object. The constructor name should be same as the class name. Constructor must be declared or defined under public section inside the class. Constructor does not have any return type. Let us see the syntax of the constructor. Class name, private, you can have the private members, then public. So now here it is class name and within the bracket we give the parameters. Now your class name and the constructor name are same, right? Constructor defined outside the class. If you want to define the constructor outside the class using scope resolution operator, we are supposed to give. The constructor can be defined outside the class, but it has to be declared inside the class. Here you will use a scope resolution operator. So if you find here, we'll give, so here the class is over, closing curly braces, semicolon, and here your function name is same as the class name, so it is constructor. So you have the class name, scope resolution operator, class name. There are three types of constructors basically: default constructor, parameterized constructor, and the copy constructor. Let us see default constructor. Default constructor is also known as zero argument constructor as it doesn't take any parameter. It can be defined by the user. If not, then the compiler creates it on his own. Default constructor always initializes data members of the class with the same value they were defined. The syntax is class name, private, public, right? And then we have the class name and the constructor body, right? Now in the default constructor, so here we find the class name is person and we have the person function, which is the default constructor, and what we do is the name and the age for the given variables in the class is declared. So when an object is created, automatically this assignment will be invoked, and when you invoke the display function, you will get the student and 12. So this is your default constructor. Parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor is used to initialize data members with the values provided by the user. We can define more than one parameterized constructor according to the need of the user, but we have to follow the rules of the function overloading, like a different set of arguments must be there for each constructor. Now here we have the class name, right? It's same as a class name, but we'll be giving the different parameters, right? So in the parameterized constructor, so you have the name, class name as num, and you have the constructor num, and we have two parameters passed here. So from the main, when an object is created, you are passing the two parameters, right? And when you display, you will get the respective values because we are assigning it to a and j, which is declared in the class. Copy constructor. If you have an object of a class and you want to create its copy in a new declared object of the same class, then a copy constructor is used, right? So I repeat once again, if you have an object of a class and we want to create its copy in a new declared object of the same class, then a copy constructor is used. So class name, private, public, we have the constructor and we are passing the object, right? That is address of the object here. Now, if you see this example, you are creating an object employee 1 and employee 2. And for this employee 2, I am passing the employee 1 as a object. So, if you find here, so your constructor is employee, you are having two values, x1, y1, and it is assigned to salary and experience, right? And then here I am passing the object, right? So we'll be using dot operator to access the variables declared inside the class, right? So new employee is a object name, so use dot operator to invoke the salary and experience, and it is assigned, right? So this is copy constructor. Similarly, we'll see another example. So I have an object 1, 10. 10 is assigned to A, and I pass this object 1 as a parameter for object 2. Right, so using dot operator, we'll be accessing the value and the value will be assigned. Now define a constructor outside the class. So outside the class, how will you do? We'll be having scope resolution operator, that is class name geek for geek, scope resolution operator, and then we'll be assigning, right? Rest creation of the object will be the same, and obj.show, it will invoke this show function. Destructor. A destructor works opposite to constructor. It destructs the objects of the classes. A destructor is called by the compiler when the object is destroyed, and its main function is to deallocate the memory of the object. Destructor should be defined only once in a class. Destructor name should be same as the class name. Destructor has the same as of the class with prefix tilde operator. Okay, now the syntax is, we'll find tilde symbol in the class name. So what will happen is it will be removed. Properties of the destructor. Destructor function is automatically invoked when the objects are destroyed. It cannot be declared static or const. The destructor does not have any argument. It has no return type, not even void. A destructor should be declared in the public section of the class. When does the destructor get called? A destructor function is called automatically when the object goes out of scope. That is when the function ends or when the program ends. So if you see the destructor here, so you have the class name, this is the constructor, and you are creating an object, you are passing the value. Now the values will be assigned. Now next, what I do is, you are closing the function. So by default, what will happen is, the destructor will perform its task, and it will remove the memory allocation there, right? So similarly here in the destructor also, for first constructor will be executed, and you are not invoking this destructor once again. Automatically it will be invoked, and it will get the message destructor executed, right? So similarly here in this test, now we are creating the number of objects, right? So totally I have created 4 objects. So we have created 4 objects, and each and every time when an object is created, the count will get incremented. So automatically what will happen is, step by step, the memory allocated, that is when an object is created, memory will be allocated, no, that is deleted, that is removed. So you get the count decremented, right? Now here I'm creating only 2 objects, right? And then see, I have 2 loops here, then I create another 2 objects. So this 2 object is created, it is destroyed. Then this t2 t3 is created, and it is destroyed. So this is for t1, and this is for t2 and t3. Thank you, students.